Today I'm going to be making a above ground planter box made out of cedar fence pickets. In order to accomplish this project, you're going to need a skill saw or table saw. Both will work. Of course, a tape measure, a pencil, a square. I got safety glasses, earplugs, and then to finish things up, you're going to need some 2.5-inch nails. Some 1-inch, these are actually 1 1/4 inch, they work. The 1-inch might be a little bit better. A drill and a drill bit to do some pre-drilling. It's pretty simple task actually. Depending on your skill level, you can do it anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So let's go ahead and get started. The materials you're going to need for this project are 6 1x6 pickets, and then you need some 1x2 or 1x3s. These are about 2.5 inches, 1 by 2.5 inches. I had some scrap wood laying around from an old box spring. I like to pull apart box springs and use the wood for projects around. You can buy these individually, or the way you can do this is to just rip pickets at 2.5 inches. Not a big fan of ripping, it takes time. But if you have one of these handy guides that go on the skill saw, it's actually not that big of a deal, but something to think about. I'm going to start off doing my measurements. A fence picket is about 72 inches, but that includes the dog ears at the top, and I want to get rid of those dog ears, so I'm going to mark it at 71 inches. Using my square, just going to find the 71 inches and draw a line. I'm going to do that to all 6 pickets. And go ahead and do that. Fence picket is about 5.5 inches wide, and so you need to make these at 11 inches. These will sit on the ends of your fence pickets, and this is how we butt the ends together. And making my mark at 11 inches for the first one. Okay. For the second one, I'm going to go out to 22 inches, and then I'm going to add an 1/8, and that is for the width of the skill saw blade. And you can just do it again, go to up to 33 inches. I'm going to add another 1/8. I'm going to come back and do my squares. I'm going to draw my lines with the square. That's on a piece like that, and I'm going to do that to these 2 smaller pieces as well. I'm going to put my safety goggles on, get my earplugs in, and we should be ready to do all of our cuts. If you're working with the table saw, making straight cuts really isn't a problem, but sometimes with the skill saw, especially on such a short piece of wood, they can be a problem. A little trick I like to use is the square. You find the mark with your skill saw over here, and butt the square up against it, and then you can just run your skill saw up against the square, and it'll give you a perfectly square square cut. Here we go. After you cut the dog ears off of your 1x6s, it leaves about 71 inches. And so for 2 of these, I'm just going to cut them directly in half at 35.5 inches. And this will give me the width or the ends of my box. So go ahead and make those marks. So for the final product, it's going to have the 2 pickets stacked on top of each other, and the outsides are going to have these braces on them, and they are going to stick over just a little bit. And so essentially what's going to happen is when I attach these to the outside pieces, that they're going to come in and they're going to form a little cup right there. They're going to just butt up right up against each other, right? So the picket is a 1/2 inch, so on 4 of them I want a 1/2 inch line. These are a little bit wider than a 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to actually use them as a measure, put them like this and draw a line, and that will get them all ready to go. I'm going to mark these two as my 1/2 inchers and these two as my 1/2 inch plus.
What are those?
So one of our last steps is drilling the pilot holes on the end pieces. So I like to drill about 1 inch down from the top and then make the second hole about 4.5 inches apart. That puts me right about the top and the bottom of the picket. It's not an exact science. These are sitting outside, so I just eye it. So again, to save time, get all 8 of your corner pieces and drill all the holes at once. That'll help you save time. So let's get started. So earlier we made our marks on the corner pieces to show the depth. So I'm just going to measure that. That's 1 3/4 inches. So from the end of my board in here, I'm just going to come out and make a mark at 1 3/4 inches there and 1 3/4 inches there. Make sure pieces are level or flush with each other. And that just gives me a place as I'm screwing this that I know that my corner piece is going to be solid all the way down, flush. Yeah. So once it's there, just go ahead and screw it. These are the 1 inch, and these are deck screws, so they're specially coated so they won't rust out. They have a star head, which makes it easy for screwing. Just go ahead and do that to the other side. And one last thing here on the longer pieces. These are too long, so I like to add a center brace that gives a little bit more support. This is just a scrap piece of wood. I measured halfway in at the outside corner. I'm just kind of eyeballing it there. I'm using my square to make sure that it's straight. And there you go. That's what it'll look like here. If you can, try to decide what side is going to be the top and make your pieces flush up here on the top. If they're a little bit longer or shorter on the bottom, that's okay. That part is going to be on the ground. It'll be hidden. It won't even be seen. So that's a way to kind of hide some of your bad cuts if you have them. All right, we have all of our pieces assembled. So we need to actually put them together to create the box. For this process, you need your 3/32 drill bit to drill pilot holes. We're going to upgrade our screws and move into a 2 inch or 2.5 inch. I actually prefer the 2 inch to join the butts together, and of course to drill the screw gun. My work table isn't big enough for the long pieces, so I'm going to be moving the operation to the ground. Alright, so obviously I'm just going to set this up on the ground like this. This is the bottom of it. I have the top of it on the ground where it's going to be a little flatter and give it hopefully make it a little more flush. But together like that. And so I'm going to be drilling holes through the side piece into the picket. I'm going to just add maybe a screw here and here. And then on this side I'm going to go all the way through the top of this, through this picket back here. So I'm again probably add 3 of them on the outside here, so that should get us. Well, here you have it. Good old-fashioned planter box, about 6 feet by 3 feet. You can do a lot with this. So this is another box that I made, and so I'm just going to show you. If you want to enhance it and make it a little better looking, you can just put one of those 1x2s, sit it up on top and drill it in. It gives it a little lap and edge, makes it look good. And then something else I did on this one is the middle beams. As you can see, I made them about 2 inches longer, and I cut a point at it so that it'll sit into the ground and poke into the ground. That way it gives a little more stability and will keep it from moving around. So there you have it. It's a planter box. If you count it up, the pickets were about $10 and the screws were maybe 2 or 3. So for under 15 bucks, you can make yourself a 3x6 cedar planter box. Not a bad deal.